You only just slide that way, son.
There you go. We're good. Evening, folks. We just watched it. Well, first of all, good afternoon, good evening. There has been, I can't remember who requested it.
John Stringer requested this one.
Requested a movie about like 3 months ago when we first started doing this.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
Well, it's been a long time. A good month, at least a month and a half or something like that.
It's been a month.
Yeah, at least. And anyway, this movie we've both seen it before, and we've had it here at the house for quite some time in the mail.
It's been a long time since I've seen this movie.
Yeah, and the movie that we watched this tonight is it Three Musketeers or just
The Three Musketeers?
The Three Musketeers. Disney's The Three Musketeers with Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, Oliver Platt, Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Tim Curry. Rebecca De Mornay plays Countess de Winter, and
yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
I can't think of anybody else.
I was just thinking about what else to say.
Well, first off, I don't have a favorite quote from this movie. I was really listening, paying attention, trying to find something, and
first of all, I'd like to say Chris O'Donnell cannot act.
He's awful
in this movie.
And another movie we watched recently with really bad acting, The Wolfman. I would compare Benicio del Toro in The Wolfman to Chris O'Donnell.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I think if Benicio would have had the accent, the British accent would have made it. But he was... I mean, I understand that he spent most of his time in America.
It's not a judgment on Benicio's part. It's just movie to movie. I'm looking at.
Oh, okay.
If you compare him in that movie, because I like Benicio. I like him in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I like him in The Sea Inside. I mean, he's got some good stuff under the belt. But Wolfman compared to Benicio and Wolfman compared to Chris O'Donnell and Three Musketeers, they're both comparably awful.
Yeah, it's not good acting. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's just not good acting. Anyway, basic rundown. Tim Curry, by the way. Tim Curry's always fun.
I love him in everything he's in.
He's just a good, fun guy to watch do his stuff. So, but anyway, he plays a cardinal.
If I'd had a favorite quote, it would have been something he said.
I'm sure.
I mean, I just...
but anyway, the typical Three Musketeer thing, they've been disbanded, and then the king is in peril and they go save the day.
Yeah.
Other than that, we really don't have much to say about this movie. I mean, I've been lost.
It's very dated.
It is. That we can talk about.
Before we rate this movie, I mean, oh man, it's dated. It's so
Big
bad.
Time. Well, the thing is we've both seen it, but it's probably been, for me, it's been at least 6-7 years since I've seen this movie.
Maybe longer than that.
For you?
Oh yeah, I can remember the last time I watched this movie.
Yeah, I can't, but
it was at the Quay's house.
Was it really?
Yeah, it's been 10 years since I've seen this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched it with Daniel and
Christina,
Joe and Demanda and Christina. Yeah, this movie.
So anyway,
bad.
In my head, I was like, all right, I've seen Three Musketeers. It's a pretty good movie. And then watching it now, it's just like, wow, this is awful. This is bad.
It's still enjoyable.
Right. We didn't turn it off. It wasn't that bad. But it was definitely, it was just like, wow. It's like you've seen movies from your past and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. It was great. And you watch it again and it's just like,
it's bad.
That's just not so hot. I don't care for this. So anyway, my ending result as far as stars go, I really wanted to give it a 2.5, but since we can't give halves, I give it a 3. And because it's not that I didn't like it, it's just not good enough for a 3. I mean, it's not a matter of liking it or not liking it for me. It's just not 3 material. It's not 3-star material.
It's really hard for me to say that I liked this movie now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can give it a 3 based on nostalgia, but my heart gives it a 2.
Yeah.
Because it's just...
Which, in the end, it'll get a 3. I think either way we go, it'll get a 3.
It'll get a 3. If I were pressed to nails, and they said, "What do you rate this movie?" I'd say It's a 2.
I gave it a 2. Yeah.
I didn't really like it that much. It was cheeky and trite. It's so Disney. It's one where you want to vomit.
I'm sorry you think my red hat is contrived.
Contrive?
Hydropsychosis. Sorry, we're getting off into a great movie. So anyway,
when it's all said and done, though, I think this movie deserves a 2.
Deserves a 2.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 2. In the end, I don't want to be pity stricken on my movies, and I need to keep my objectivity.
But I've seen good movies from my past that have lived up.
That's true.
And
that's true.
This movie, on a repeated viewing, unless you just love this movie, there are better Three Musketeers movies out there.
You know, a lot of people give you crap for liking The Postman.
Oh, I know.
Which is what I it's an enjoyable movie. I just don't think it's that great. But, you know, it's like one of those things. Unless you really love Three Musketeers, it's just your thing.
Yeah, and that's totally cool if it is. I mean, I'm not going to dog it.
Right.
At least dog them. I'll dog the movie, no problem.
Yeah.
But
it was bad. No, I'm sorry, Miss Stringer. She's gonna be so angry. I hope she's not angry with us because
she won't be angry.
It's taken us so long to do this, and here we are trashing her movie. So if you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch.
Sure, it's got some hilarious moments. Yeah. If you lived at the time that it came out, you probably remember a lot of them. You know, the one big one I can remember is the whack, and then it falls through.
Yeah,
that's the one that comes through my mind all the time.
Right. The one that comes to my mind is when you see on the previews and stuff is when they're in the chase in the carriage, and he's like, "We're in the middle of a chase." He's like, "You're right, something red." Oh, because he pulled out like champagne, and he's like, "Oh yeah, something red." So Anyway, give it a 2. I just can't good conscience give it a 3. It's just not 3 material. I'm sorry. So with that said, go out, watch Three Musketeers or not. It really doesn't.
You're not missing anything if you don't watch it.
Right, you're not. Really not.
But if you choose to sit through it,
it's not really that bad. It's just not that good. It's just not.
It's so Disney.
It doesn't have the quality that makes it like even go back for more type.
I mean, when I think of a swashbuckler movie, I think of the classics like Errol Flynn, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, and Captain Blood.
Yeah, well,
and those
everyday people's swashbuckling movies. This is probably everyday people's swashbuckling.
Well, but I'm just saying it has that kind of feel.
Right.
Like when they stab a guy, there's no blood. He just kind of leans over and then falls.
Yeah. So I was impressed. We were keeping track of how many people actually died in this movie.
I didn't think there would be hardly any.
Well, because it was a Disney movie.
Because it's a Disney movie. But I mean, we got up over. And
by the way, this entire story takes place in about 5 days. 5 days. 5 business
days.
That's
the most mind-boggling part of the whole thing. This is the most action-packed work week you could ever have.
Right, and I'm really impressed that if you don't know the mileage and what you got to get through, somebody went on horseback from Paris to Chalet in a night.
Oh yeah.
Which is I don't
know if you could
possible.
Do that in a day, in an evening
on horseback in 17th century. 17th, 18th century France. I don't know.
Well, and two, whenever D'Artagnan starts out, he goes from whatever provincial place he's supposed to be from to Paris in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he shows up right after the Musketeers are disbanded. Like the smoke is still coming off the fire where they burned their tunics.
Yeah. That's another thing too, Mr. Stringer. I don't understand is that whenever they all the Musketeers are there, they all give up. Like, okay, here's our tunics, here's our swords, and then when everybody's like rallying the troops, everybody pulls out their tunics and their swords from like a barrel or somewhere. It's just like
ooh, they stashed it for a whole 2 days.
The best we could come up with is the ones that they burnt and the swords that left were their practice swords and their dress tunic. That what they wore to the thing was their battle tunic and their real swords. So that's all we've got. So I don't know. So anyway, continuity, God.
Yeah. Stretch it out just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, but
it'd be really cool if they made like an intense, like a Ridley Scott type Three Musketeer movie.
Well, there's a newer one called The Musketeer, which I've never seen.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe I'm thinking of The Count of Monte Cristo.
Probably.
I don't know. I don't keep up with French literature movies. Like I don't like Les Mis either.
Les Miserables? You don't.
The one with Liam Neeson?
Really?
It just didn't do it for me.
I love that movie. I've never read the book. I mean, I've only seen the movie, but it's
maybe I just have some bias against French-based movies. I don't like movies that take place in France.
What's wrong with you? I love French filmmaking. I like French filmmaking.
I'd think about it and then I'd come up with a few. I don't know.
Anyway, all right. Well, we gotta get.
That's that.
That's that. Check us out. Do whatever or not. It doesn't. You know. So, peace. That's all I get. I don't know.
I got nothing. But we're done.
It's Rambo. Code 88.
Yeah, we're gonna 88 this.
I got 88.